The government has admitted that there are serious problems in the way the leasehold system works in England and Wales. Conservative and Labour MPs told the Commons some of their constituents had seen ground rent charges rocket, in some cases to levels where their houses became unsellable.
What we are discussing today is nothing short of a national scandal. It is the PPI of the house building industry. Every now and again, a sharp practice comes to light which is totally unconscionable, and which every reasonable person looking at it would say, we cannot allow this to continue. Parliament must act. This is one such occasion. The practice that has developed is to sell new homes on a long-term lease with a misleadingly low ground rent and buyout price. This practice has become common in my constituency over the last few years, and contrary to what is asserted by some developers, it is not a tradition in my constituency. It now seems to be part of the business model for a great many developers. It's a very clever way of selling more units, drop the asking price a little to reflect the fact that it is a leasehold, but fail to make it clear that in the long run the homeowner will pay far, far more than they would have done if the property had been freehold.
My calculation is if a £250,000 house has a £250 ground rent that doubles every 10 years, over 60 years, the successive leaseholders will have paid £157,500, and for that still to be 1% of the value, the house would have to be worth £80 million. That's in the first 60 years of a lease.
Sadly, there are still too many bullies, cowboys and crooks in the centre, and for the government to feel comfortable with the legislation as it stands is unacceptable. We need not only better regulation, we need not only better protection and advice, we need legislation. There are millions of citizens out there looking to their politicians of whichever party to remedy their distress.
Would my honourable friend agree that many people entering these leaseholds are entirely unaware that the landlords have the power to make huge increases in ground rents, and that if this practice is deemed acceptable, at the very least, tenants going into these agreements should have very clear information about what the landlords can do, what their rights are, and how they can challenge them?
When one's worked hard to save up to buy a home, budgeted to be able to pay the costs needed to service any loan and the other costs one reasonably expects, one should then expect security and then be able to plan for one's future. The hard-working people, those who are doing the right thing by investing their hard-earned cash into buying a home, are being ripped off left, right and centre. Madam Deputy Speaker, the government must act urgently to stop this gross exploitation of hard-working homeowners who are finding they cannot sell their homes.
It seems to me and to the Secretary of State to be one of those cases where there is a gulf between the letter of the law and our sense of what is right. Some of the cases we've seen in the media and heard about in today's debate have highlighted some truly appalling behaviour. The Secretary of State and I have been looking closely at the issues raised in recent weeks, and I can tell the House that we are both absolutely determined to stamp out unfair, unjust and unacceptable abuse of the leasehold system.